Hello and welcome to the Tea on Sustainable Living podcast, where your hosts,
Hannah
and Brandy, try and help each other navigate the big messy gray area of giving a shit about the planet, and hopefully helping you along the way.
Each episode, we have honest chats about our sustainability fails, sometimes amongst ourselves and sometimes with guests, while also leaving you with a little sprinkle of hope and inspiration to keep on giving a shit.
So, go make yourself a cup of tea, get comfy, and let's dive into the episode. Hello, Give a Shitters. This is Brandy.
And this is Hannah.
And you are listening to episode number 6 of the Tea on Sustainable Living podcast.
Hey, welcome to episode number 6. What are we talking about today, Brandy? Give us the highlight reel.
We are talking about one of my favorite topics, food.
Yum. You say it's your favorite topic, but I have nothing to say, Brandy.
There's just too much to talk about.
In you. Where do we start?
Yeah, we're talking about food and kind of the struggles with, labeling yourself vegan, vegetarian, whatever, and then kind of drawing a box around yourself. And then people are very quick to point a finger like, oh, you did this thing. You can't be that label you called yourself. You're not vegan because you just ate something with honey in it. I got you. Which I think does more harm than good. And yeah, we'll get into the spilling the tea, but there are certain, I say I'm vegan for the ease of it, but there are times when I do eat animal products. It's very rare and very specific situations, but just conversation about that. And yeah, whatever you feel like you're struggling with.
All right. My struggles with vegetarianism. There are a lot. Well, maybe not. I don't know. Depends.
All right. Well, we'll get into that. We'll get into that in this episode. In the meantime, am I the only one drinking tea again?
Yep, you're the only one drinking tea. You've got to, hold the fort down for the tea drinking. I'm drinking water.
And I got to be honest, though, I'm not drinking the tea that I'm about to tell you about because I think we've already featured all of the teas that I have in my apartment. And I was going to go out and buy a tea from a cafe around the corner, but I did not. And here we are.
It's okay. Just spill that tea, Brandy.
No, I'm going to drink it. I'm drinking chamomile tea again. And yeah, we already featured that in an episode. So I won't go into that, but I was looking into chai tea, which is redundant because chai means tea. So I'm doing the tea is tea. I was going to buy a box of it, but anytime I see a box of it or even like a blend in a bookshop, it has, what's the ingredient that reminds me of black licorice? Anise, yeah. They all have that. And there's a cafe around the corner that if it has it in it, I can't taste it. And that's how I like my chai.
And on the other hand, I love all of the anise flavoring I can get. Licorice flavored things are one of my favorite things in the world.
Well, but more for you.
Yeah. Continue. Tell me about your chai tea.
My experience.
Your tea.
So chai is
sounded weird.
Yeah. It does feel weird not to say tea after. Yeah, origin South Asia. I chose India, and instead of a project, I found an article about this activist who I'm probably going to mispronounce her name, Disha Ravi, Disharavi. Thought we'd do a bit of an activist spotlight. She founded India's branch of Fridays for Future.
What is
Fridays for Future is the campaign that Greta Thunberg started in, which country is she from?
Sweden.
Thank you. So Disha Ravi is the founder of the branch in India, and she was arrested and detained for 10 days and then finally released on bail for sedition and criminal conspiracy. Which I don't know how I missed this because I do follow a good amount of social media accounts, Greta and others. But yeah, I missed this one. But last February, she was arrested for alleged involvement with an online toolkit related to Greta Thunberg and the 2020-2021 Indian farmers' protests. The Indian government alleged that the toolkit, which is a standard social justice communications and organizing document, providing a list of ways to support the farmers' protests, led to unrest and a form of sedition. The arrest was widely criticized within India and internationally. And yeah, there was I got that part from Wikipedia, but then there was a link on there was an article in The Guardian. I'll link that in the show notes. And yeah, very interesting read, especially if you missed it like I did.
Yeah, I also missed it. I haven't heard about this.
Yeah, and it just got me thinking that, activism, it's not the same for everyone. There are different risks for different people, but just the fact that things like this do happen and prevent more people from speaking up.
Yeah, absolutely. And then also like how both international and local things are, is she's maybe been inspired or obviously being connected with Greta's movement that started in Sweden, but then is also using that knowledge and to support the local movements for Indian farmers. So that's quite like an interesting global world situation.
Yeah, and I don't think the case is closed yet. Like, it's not technically ongoing, but from whatever I read, they're likely to drop the charges because there's no basis to them, really.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for that information, Brandy.
You are welcome. So I am one chai in debt to myself, I guess. Maybe tomorrow I'll go out and treat myself.
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan. Treat yourself. And what was talking about treating yourself? Tell me about your tea that you're spilling on yourself. Spill the tea, Randy. What are you nervous about in relation to our topic today?
I'm really nervous about, but when we were kind of brainstorming ideas, and of course, food is a very big topic to unpack. But one of the things, my kind of ongoing struggles is, it doesn't really happen so much anymore. I think being called out for certain things I do that might not fit the idea of what someone else has when I say I'm vegan, because really I just say it for the convenience of it, just to get into a whole discussion about the nuance of it. Is sometimes I do, but generally not worth it. But I sometimes have like a don't ask, don't tell policy depending on where I am. And I think this has kind of changed over the years. There are definitely been times where I was super strict. Like if I ordered out in a restaurant, I wanted to know that different, pots and pans are being used. I'm past the point of caring about that. But like sometimes when I travel, especially since COVID, the few flights I have taken, you can't request a vegan meal. And while I bring food on, it's still a long flight. And if I get hungry and, there's a warm vegetarian meal, I'd like a warm meal. I'm trying to eat kind of around the dairy, but it's not
easy.
Yeah. And like at restaurants, I have a don't ask, don't tell policy with wine, because often wine is not vegan because of the filtration process. But I don't really care that much. I think I sometimes care more than others.
Do you think the lack of caring just comes from like oversaturation? There's so many things, or just that it gets to that kind of point where it crosses over into your like making your life too difficult versus the enjoyment or the like practicality of the other thing?
All of the above, all of what you just said, I think. It's just you can get so kind of caught up in all the little things. And the more questions you ask, the more answers you'll get. And I don't always want the answer because I just don't care. Like if I'm at a restaurant and then that leaves my only option as something I don't want. Typically, if I have not, usually I research a restaurant before I go, so I know what I can eat. I know that I can eat what I want there. But if for some reason I find myself at a restaurant, I haven't researched it, and there's something that I want and I think is good, I think is vegan, I likely won't ask the question because I've already decided I want that thing.
All right. Interesting.
There's one Indian restaurant around here that I go to and I order what I want, veggie options, but there are others on the menu that say there's ghee in it. So I order the dishes that don't have it on it. There's probably a strong likelihood that there's a little bit in what I'm ordering, but I don't ask because I like the dishes that I order.
Yeah. And do you think, is that good enough for you?
Yeah, I think so. At least for now. If that changes, if I start to feel like it's not. But at home, I don't think I ever bring in animal products to my home. Unless someone comes over, if I'm having people over and they bring their own dish that has animal products in it, then fine. I don't care.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I also do a little bit the same. I definitely don't ask about wine or alcohol, and I don't really think about it. I know it's a thing. And then weirdly with like gummy sweets and like stuff like that, that I'm like, okay, and like 90% this is probably made with, animal
Gelatin.
products. But I'm like, I don't know. I don't look at the back of the packet.
Yeah.
And
Generally
is there a
some.
different and that's the thing, this is the interesting, like, don't ask, don't tell, right? Because I guess if someone told me specifically there's animal products in there, I would feel worse about it. Like there's something about someone else seeing it or you like 100% knowing. Yeah, that's an interesting one, isn't it? Because really the choices we make, the person we have to like answer to is ourselves.
Yeah.
But that influence of other people,
it like really
having that
brings
impact.
it front and center.
Yeah.
And you can't ignore it. Even if you kind of know, you can kind of put it in the back of your brain.
Yeah.
But yeah, lots of candies, especially the chewy candies, have gelatin in them. Gummy candies. I don't know why I call them chewy candies. But yeah, technically aren't even vegetarian. There have been occasions where I have done the same, knowing eaten them, because sometimes you just really need a piece of candy. And often at bars, the like little mixed like nuts you get sometimes with the little sweet candies in them. Especially if I've had a couple drinks, I'm like I want that candy that's right in front of me.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, no, it's an interesting one to think. Like I haven't really made it so explicit before that maybe if someone else, like if I was around someone else and they pointed it out, then I would feel worse about doing the thing.
And maybe is it because someone else is like confirming what you've kind of pushed the back of your head that you're doing something wrong, and now someone's like calling you out on it.
Yeah, maybe. And I do think it is also that thing about, for me anyway, I'm not sure you'd necessarily agree, but for me, like having the label saying I'm vegetarian, I find that quite helpful. And I also feel like I can kind of not make other people's lives difficult. That's not what I mean. I don't care what other people do, but I feel like I can be like, okay, can we eat out at this restaurant, or I can't go there. There aren't any vegetarian options. So maybe like inconvenience someone else. And if I know I'm not like fully following through, then that's like harder to do, or that is like, I don't know, maybe somehow negating my like right to request someone else to change what they would do. I don't know. I mean, there's also definitely times when someone else is being like, oh, there's like gummies have like gelatin in and I've just eaten them anyway. So it can't have that much of an influence.
And you just go, yeah, I know.
Yeah, I don't know.
What's it to you?
Know. Yeah.
No, I think, sometimes people are trying to be helpful. Like, oh, just in case you didn't know, because a lot of people don't know. And other times, like, this have gelatin in it, right? Like, what is the point of this interaction?
Yeah. And that's also, how does that make you feel? Like, I do feel like there are some people who, they like really care about it. So they will go out their way to be like, oh, I checked that this wine is like, that I brought is like vegan. And then you're like, oh, that's great. But also I would have drunk the other one anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like
I find myself in that situation a lot. And I just like on appreciation. I appreciate people going out of their way. I think I felt like this more so in the beginning. But at times it can feel a bit like people are making too much of a fuss over you. And it's like, no, like I don't want to make a big deal out of it. Like I'll figure it out. I'll deal with it. But the people around you want to be helpful.
Yeah.
Family members, and I get that and I appreciate that. But I've just gotten used to kind of looking out for myself. I don't know if that's the best way to phrase it, but looking at ingredients 9.5 times out of 10.
And I think, how do you feel? Because I feel like in terms of a vegetarian, it's pretty easy to spot I was going to say it's pretty easy to spot the things that you don't want to eat. Like it's just meat, right?
Easier, but not necessarily.
No, that is true. But like
why would there be animal products? Why would there be something non-vegetarian in a piece of candy?
Yeah, no, that is true. But like in general.
Yes, in general, I'd agree.
Like, whereas as a vegan, like, there's so much rogue milk and things that you wouldn't expect. So much rogue milk.
I
or
like
like
that.
egg.
Ooh, could that be part of an episode title? Something about rogue milk. Interesting.
I'll leave that in your capable, creative hands, Brandy.
When milk goes rogue
Yeah, all
or
right, I
something
like
along those lines. I don't know. I'll sit on it.
it. Okay. Do you feel obligated to look at labels? Would you want it to be clearer? Like, what do you think about the little V, like vegan V
Oh, I
on
like that.
products?
I like that a lot. Makes it very easy for me. I mean, I'm more so just in the habit now of
Yeah.
looking at ingredients, but I'm also used to just buying the same types of products.
Yeah. I think, yeah, I guess that's like a very much like I mean, not just, but like a new vegan thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm not vegan, so I don't know. I don't look to things to that extent. But I feel like that must be something that makes it quite hard at the beginning, right? That you feel like you have to check everything.
Yes, and depending on the products you buy, it can be very difficult because the list of ingredients will be a list of things that you've never heard of.
Right.
Which there are a lot of sneaky items like that. And I'll
Yeah.
find resources for the show notes. But the trick is to skip down to the allergens section, assuming there's no meat in it, that it's at least vegetarian. Dairy will always be an allergen.
Yeah, that's a good tip.
And I think seafood, shellfish as well. Like if something says may contain milk or whatever, it just means it was made in a facility that processes those ingredients. So if you're like deathly allergic, they're covering their asses, so you don't sue them. But as someone who just makes decisions based on, ethics and the planet, etc., I'm not allergic, so a little bit is fine in the big picture. So yeah, you can skip down to the may contain or made in a facility, and it's fine, unless you're allergic to those items.
Right, and that's something that maybe puts firms off putting like a vegan sign on things. You know, you can find a big list of like the accidentally vegan products, you know, the most famous being Oreos and like a lot of pastry products, like baked good products.
Mm-hmm.
Like ready-made pastry can be vegan.
Yeah,
but they won't probably
vegan.
ever. Yeah,
I wish they would.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess it's like covering their backs. Oh no, maybe you have to like.
Well, I don't think. I feel like the reason to not make something vegan would be less about allergens and more about, I don't know. I feel like some people get weird around things that say it's vegan, but people don't realize that chickpeas or spinach are vegan and healthy and good for you. It's just food without animal products.
Yeah.
There are a ton of, meat and dairy replacement items that I personally find interesting that people are more grossed out than by the actual product.
And also I think there is still a perception, although it's changing, that like vegan food is not very good, especially vegan baked goods. So yeah, especially maybe for like the baked goods and sweets, like maybe that really would put people off. Like just, the idea that it's like not going to taste very nice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, as far as restaurants have come a long way, and the replacement items you find in grocery stores to be, burgers have come a long way. I remember eating, like black bean patties and the veggie patties that you could see like the pieces of vegetables in them.
Yeah.
were very much what they were. They were not trying to replicate. But now we have, Beyond Burgers and Impossible Burgers, which are good. And I think in the beginning I was weird about them because they tasted too meaty. Too meaty, yes. What about you? If you're like out at a restaurant, say you order what you think is a vegetarian dish and you find out later it was made with, I don't know, bone broth or...
Yeah, that's an interesting one because I was trying to work this out. So I guess because I would have always... So I'm like very much vegetarian, but I would have very much come from the environmental direction. Mm-hmm. So I've always kind of been like, I feel like it is sustainable to eat meat once or twice a month. Mm-hmm. So I could do that, but I don't, because for me, it's just easier to be fully vegetarian. So I feel like stuff like that kind of hidden animal product, I feel kind of okay with. Although I wouldn't necessarily order it if I knew it was in there. And actually, I think to some extent, I like that. I like that all parts of the, I think if you're going to kill an animal to eat it, then we should be using all the parts of the animal. But it is true that I'm definitely like more weirded out by like meat as a concept now.
now it's been like quite a while, like 4 or 5 years since I've eaten meat. And I do remember I don't know, I was out somewhere and they were like cheese bites, but like one of them they'd accidentally put like the chicken bites in that looked the same, and I like bit into it. I was like, oh, and I like just couldn't eat it. And I had another friend there who was also vegetarian. She's like, oh, I would like probably just have finished it. Like I'd started to eat it, like, okay, it wasn't a choice. But it just like really, I was like, oh no.
That's kind of my thought process.
And I don't normally, yeah.
I was just saying that was kind of my thought process. Like for flights, it's going to get wasted anyway. They've already heated it up, opened it.
Yeah.
It's going to get thrown out. So, and with food waste being such a big issue, which if food waste to our country, it would be the third largest emitter of greenhouse gases after US and China. That's huge. So that's a big move you could make without having to cut anything out. Just eat the food you buy.
I knew a couple of people who were vegans. So they were like vegan if they bought anything, but anything that was free, they was like, eat whatever you want. So if they were at like an event or they got offered something or like whatever, then they would eat it because of the same thing. They're like, oh, it would be thrown out anyway. So
for me, there's
I'm just going to eat it.
For me, there's a health aspect to the way I choose to eat. So yeah, and I think I talked about this in our like intro episode, kind of balancing what's my priority? Is it ethics, health, the planet? Because all of those reasons are why I eat the way I eat, but they've all been the number one reason at different times. And I guess they do kind of fluctuate.
Yeah.
I was going to say something else, but now I can't remember. What was it?
I don't know, Brandy. I can't read your mind, unfortunately.
Why not?
Hello, Give-A-Shitters. Brandy here. I just wanted to quickly interrupt this episode to tell you a little bit more about our show notes. Each episode has a dedicated show notes page on our website, thetonsustainableliving.com/show notes, where you can find more information about the topic of the episode. In addition to links to any articles and resources mentioned in the episode, we throw in a few more ways for you to keep on giving a shit. From articles and documentaries to books and apps, we want each show notes page to help you feel better equipped with information and tools to take action today. You can think of it as a choose-your-own give-a-shit adventure. We'll also update you on our chosen actionable item from the episode to let you know how it's going for us. So, after this episode, head on over to our show notes page at thetonsustainableliving.com/show notes. Alright, now back to the episode.
Yeah, it's an interesting one, this kind of topic, because it is sort of the around the edges stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel, like the key principles for me of vegetarianism, or for you for veganism, or like them, 98% of my diet is definitely vegetarian.
Mm-hmm.
If I eat something, it's, it's like those like really like picky things on the side, like, what is it worth you investing your energy in? Probably, like you say, it depends on what your priorities are. Like, what's your motivation? Can we just go down a wormhole of being like, oh no, I can't have that, or having to like, I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, I think
being too stressful. Yeah.
Yeah. If you make it too stressful, you're not going to maintain it. It's not going to be a sustainable change for you. I remember what I was going to say now, that something about you, when I look at meat, I don't look at it and think food. But when I look at dairy, I look at it like it's something I'm choosing not to eat. Like it's still food, but I'm choosing not to eat it. Yeah. Whereas the meat, I'm like, that's not food.
Yeah. That's interesting. So it's just like dropped so far from your, like something you'd ever consider.
Yeah. But it gets more interesting though with these Beyond and Impossible burgers, because they do look like meat. So I don't know what the difference is.
Some that creep me out, and like, the ones which look like they're like mincemeat. You can get them in packs, and then
like the ground meat.
No, like when it's already ground, I'm fine with it. But like, when it's like,
the like squiggles.
It's like squiggles.
Yeah,
there's just something about that just like squicks me out.
Oh no,
I'm like, oh no. If it's already in the ground packet and like frozen, I'm good. Or if it's in like, I don't know why. If it's in like pieces, I'm fine. But like when it's in that like squiggy, no, can't do it.
Yeah, no, it doesn't sound nice.
Yeah, no. But like maybe that's because I didn't like the pieces I would never have brought if they were meat. Like when I ate meat, I would definitely buy like the minced meat, like the squiggy stuff, and that's what I was used to cooking with. And I would never have brought the like more processed stuff, or very rarely. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but like,
I think you can get caught up
Yeah.
in the details of it all. But I think, yeah, as far as like figuring out what to prioritize, it's you pick one thing. That's the definition of prioritizing. People refer to them as like multiple priorities. Well, they can't all be priorities. They might be at different times, but it's choosing, what's important to you. Is it being kinder to the planet, your body, animals?
I agree with you, but I can feel a part of me resisting that and being like, it's all important. Like, how is it?
It is all important, but each person will have something that's a little bit more important than the others for whatever the reason. If it's how they grew up with animals in their home, maybe they start to realize, oh, why am I eating these animals and not those? Then the ethics of not eating or harming animals might be the priority for them because of their circumstances.
Okay. Yeah.
Not that the other reasons aren't important. We do need to eventually, sooner rather than later, save the planet so that we can all still live on it.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of going to be my response. Like, I mean, it's all very well and good. But like, I'm a vegetarian, you could argue to me, but like, but look at the impact of dairy. That has a huge agriculture, environmental impact, which it does.
It does.
Like you can be like, actually, you don't really have a choice. I mean, you do have a choice, but you can make the argument, like, why are you still choosing to harm the environment in a way that is bad and impactful when it's such a simple choice not to eat it?
Which is really easy from an outside perspective. But it comes down to the, an individual person making a change when they feel like it's coming from them.
And what if it never feels like it's coming from them? Which most people, it doesn't, right?
Yeah. I mean, I hope that there are more people that do feel the need to make changes than those who don't.
I mean, there definitely are, right? I mean, if you look at the statistics for people eating less meat.
Yeah, the numbers are.
Definitely a thing.
It is a thing.
Isn't enough?
I guess we'll find out. But yeah, I mean, the hopeful thing of it all that you don't have to go all in. I think if you do come at it from an ethical standpoint, changing your diet from an ethical standpoint, it's harder to kind of pick and choose when you're gonna
live your ethics
of your like not wanting to harm animals because you think it's wrong. I feel like it's harder to, like my exception of like when I fly, choosing the vegetarian meal, trying not to eat the dairy in it. From an ethical standpoint, I don't think you can, make an exception. If you've made a decision, no, I'm not going to eat animal products because it's bad to animals. Oh, but I will this one time, and ignore the one animal that does harm. Mm-hmm. Whereas if you're coming at it from a health perspective or an environmental perspective,
you get a bit more leeway.
Yeah, because it's the majority. Like meatless Mondays, that's a great start. If you look at, if all the people in Spain were to do meatless Mondays, the impact that would have. And if people just have meat Mondays, if they get to a point where that's the one day a week they eat meat, that's an even bigger impact. So you can make a big impact without having to go all in or give yourself a label if that's not what you want to do.
Yeah.
Is I think what I was trying to get at.
Yeah. Wow. That's a good point to end it.
So meatless Mondays, that's a great action item. Meat Mondays. I found this website called regeneration.org. Why are you laughing at me?
No, I was just like imagining someone being like, meat Mondays, meat Tuesday. It sounded slightly like you were encouraging people to eat meat. But I know what you mean. It's like meat Mondays, vegetarian the rest of the week.
Yes, that is the point I was trying to make. As far as like an educational resource, there's this website, regeneration.org/nexus, and it'll be in the show notes. That is basically like a better version of our show notes. Like if you click on a topic, it starts at the very top, call to action, and goes through why it's a problem, what individuals can do, what companies can do, has a section called the bad actors and what we need to change as far as the law, which is very like comprehensive kind of tool if you want to go to like individual topics. And there are a few about food, and I'll put them in the show notes. And we're a bit late for Veganuary, but we've talked in previous episodes. You can go meat free any month of the year. So
yeah, which is probably maybe what I'll do, because I definitely haven't done Veganuary.
Yeah, do that. And I think you just lead by example. If you want to make a change, you just change it in your own life and then let the people around you come to you with their questions as they have them, instead of, going around calling people out, because as we've discussed, that is not very helpful.
That's definitely true.
People get mad, offended, or just shrug their shoulders and not care. And that doesn't do anything. But if the more people that around you that make changes, the more likely you are. So it's a ripple effect, and I think it's a great place to start.
Yeah. All right.
I'm going to finish my chamomile tea and go to bed.
Sounds good. If anyone's listening, let us know what we're vegan, vegetarian, meat eater, what you choose to do, where your points of difficulty are.
Yeah, what you're struggling with.
On our Instagram. What's our Instagram, Brandy?
At the Tea on Sustainable Living.
Excellent.
All right, everyone. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Tea on Sustainable Living podcast.
If you made it to the end, we can only assume that you've enjoyed this episode.
Please consider sharing this with a friend or family member who could use some support on their sustainability journey.
And find us on Instagram at the Tea on Sustainable Living and let us know what you liked about the episode.
Alright, give it shitters. See you later. Get it? See you later? As in, see you later? So funny.
Why?